Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Worst of Lists. The finest and worst of lists in the entirety of creation. I am your guide on the spiritual and intellectual quest. Carry diseases. And speaking of which, I'm very diseased right now. I had a nice little window where I was making progress physically after having suffered for years of debilitative and painful maladies. But the last few days have been really bad and indicate that I might have to do a lot of outpatient rehabs and stuff that I can't face right now. I can't do it again. I just don't have the energy, the support, or the ability to be able to live through that stuff. And I'm worried because, if you saw a picture of some of the things, the illnesses, I'm not sure that I could get into it with you, or it's just, it's like, is it Tom Saviani? Is that the guy who did all the early Dawn of the Dead graphics and stuff? And they'd show the dead gouging. There's always this one in the early, I lost track of the various Dawns of Deads and Rise of the Dawn of the Dead and Dusk of the Dead. Kind of lost track of all those. But in the early Dawns of the Dead, they always have that one scene that just was over the top, where they'd have a bunch of sausages custom made to look like entrails, that they just, the early scenes of engorging the dead, engorging on human flesh-like materials. They'd bite the arm, or a foot, or a vas deferens, and that'd be it. But there's always, in Dawn of the Dead, especially in Night of the Living Dead, there's always a scene where it just goes one step beyond, one step beyond. And that's what I'm experiencing on a daily basis. And this one relapse makes it impossible for me to exercise, and the exercise keeps another major league disease that's very painful and very debilitating away. And I feel like there's a full collapse coming on. I'm sorry to say, but I'm feeling better than I was on the previous episode I tried to film. So there's that. So on that high note, let's sally forth, as it were, to another edition of the Top 10 Worst of. Today's Top 10 Worst of is a super special one. Indeed, Top 10 Worst Things that can replace guitar solos in music. And I think we all know, those of us who, remember what music is before it just sort of became relegated to being a 3-minute long infomercial made by computers and jailbait posers. That there used to be something called musicality, and musicianship that was involved in the idea of music. That's where the word music comes from. And so they used to have this stuff where people would play instruments and they become accomplished at it and try real hard so that their virtuosity would increase to the point of being, super expressive exponents of the musical endeavor. and all that got tossed aside in order to make room for Daft Punk. Thank God that it did before, it became too late. The world would go Daft Punkless. Nobody wants any of that going on. The goddamn sacrilegious, practically. And it's, so we got the thing going on with the thing, and that's it, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so we're going to replace ideas of replacing the guitar solo. People don't even know what a guitar is. Most of the people who listen to music don't even know that the guitar is an instrument that's frequently used in the pursuit of musical endeavors, except for the people like where you see like Trolls. Like the Trolls movie where kids, they watch and see like, oh, look at them singing. They don't need any instruments. They don't even need to be real people or real music or anything like that. It can all be just done by computers, and people have these little trolls and things like that just are using, sort of like this edifice as a fake way to represent their own psychotic compulsion to self-aggrandizement. And, like it's almost just like, it's just something that exists as an ornament to their TikTok video. And, and even one of the Trolls movies, it's still like rock and roll. They've got like these, they do all these pop songs and everything like that, for those of you who've never seen one. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's the second one where they have this character that's into rock and roll, and that character's the villain of the movie. So, I mean, that's the contextualization and the socialization of what they're trying to do to kids in terms of like, anything that has any organic effort put into it or any humanity within it, intrinsic value. Who needs intrinsic value? What's wrong with you? All right, so anyway, we're going to do this list thing, and it's just going to be really fabulous, and it's going to be so exciting and inspirational to you. I mean, I don't think that you're ever going to be able to have anything more that speaks to you as a person, as an individual, disaffected, disenchanted, disengaged from the world around you, sitting around thinking like, oh my God, how can anything get any better than the world that we're living in and my place within it and the integral nature of me within society. Society can never get around, never ever be able to survive without me. But anyway, before we go there, we got a checklist in order to be able to make everything super effective and, try to create some sort of, project some sort of air of responsibility and organizational heft that goes into the creation of such things. And if I just sort of flippantly, just dove straight in without going through all these various different checklists of, applicable points to maintain the efficacy of the image created within the sort of structural integrity of this entire presentation. How would you feel? You'd feel cheated. You'd feel like, how am I supposed to have any respect for this particular endeavor if they don't go through a checklist of various different types of qualifiers that enable me to be able to figure out the level of integrity that they put into the underpinnings, the structural nature of what I'm watching here. It's not just some sort of flighty little bunch of randomly disassociative things that are designed to create some sort of opportunity to rail against the various different injustices of our life and the world around us. No, without the checklist, we can't go into it. We can't have any feelings of, devotion to, that this is really a means of creating some sort of alternative to the status quo nature of our corporate influenced sociological media. We don't want to have to feel like we're cast adrift on an ocean of sorrows and disenchantment in order to be able to feel like we're part of something that can provide a foil to the negativity that's expressed and the debarkation from the true nature of what it is to exist and struggle within the human condition. We can't get around, can't allow people to feel like that. So anyway, here's a checklist, the aforementioned checklist. Number 1, I am nuts. I can't be trusted or relied upon. I am probably dying. There's a 1 in 7 chance that I will die during the course of this episode. And things aren't good for your, what was my name again? Alfred B. Newman. Things aren't well, things are tough and rough, and I don't think that people are going to like really, I don't know. I'm going to be, by the time I get this, I might not even be able to upload this. I might never be able to get around to it. They could be, at some point now, the blood poisoning could strike into the vascular system and cause the immediate cessation of heartbeat-oriented types of elements necessary for the ongoing satisfaction of minimal requirements of ongoing animation. Number 2, I'm not partisan. I'm not going to do it anymore. God damn it. I'm totally golden rule now. I'm golden ruling now for the rest of the, string or whatever I wind up, having to live through. It's just, I just don't see, we've compartmentalized various different things, talked about this before, on various different topics. I apologize for those of you who feel that this is redundant, but it's important. That's why I have to go through it once again. And originally they were able to satisfy their needs to be able to divide and conquer by just creating various different entities, the left and the right. These are both artificial constructs designed specifically to, be like a burr under people's saddles to get them all pissed off and riled up and thinking that, that various different types of people, they share everything else in common with besides these labels that have been attached to us in order to be able to make them fight amongst themselves. So the real divisions between people, which is between the haves and have-nots, are never examined, never followed through, and never used as, opportunities to build efforts to protect and advance the cause of humanity, right? And that's what it is. That's exactly what this is all about. And now they've subcompartmentalized it so that it can make it even more difficult for people to be able to find ways to be able to collaborate together. And they've divided the right wingers into the right, the alt-right, the ultra hyper nationalist intolerant right, the Reagan Republicans, all these different types of subdivisions with the right. So the right can't even collaborate on various different types of things they can do to own the libs, right? And then on the left, you've got the old school liberals, I guess I would, sort of used to fall into until I, sort of woke up to the idea that all the current people who are opposing as liberals are actually sellout right-wingers who are collaborating with the ruling elite in order to be able to fool everybody into thinking that there's 2 parties in their system, but there really aren't. There's only one party because everybody's so goddamn stupid and self-involved that they can't even see it's plain as nose on their face that they don't have any real representation in their power structure. So anyway, so they've got those guys, those old school guys and whatnot, and they've got the new alt-left, totally super intolerant of everybody and trying their very best in order to be able to ruin people's lives who have even one sort of microaggression that they're showing, even if it's just a mistake and they don't intend to be able to do it or be hurtful or anything like that. They have to be crushed. They have to have their lives ruined because these people can't possibly be allowed to survive because they dead named somebody or they inadvertently used the wrong pronoun on somebody. At least that's what the media would have us believe. And then you have, the super, intolerant left, who are, anti-Semitic now, and they hate, and there's a lot of people that just don't, the great resignation liberals, and the tons and tons of people are into, like, Shoplifting is a advocation. And when I had a business, the people, everybody wants me to believe that, the people that were the worst are the minorities and people like that who would, are being portrayed as untrustable within society, that they need to be, tossed out on their ear and thrown out of the country and stuff like that. By my experience, the people who were stealing the most from the business and treated with the most amount of disrespect were young white people. And I'm not to say that I'm, looking to try and paint anybody with a broad brushstroke, because that's, classic bigotry 101. But, then again, when it comes to things like crime, you have to create demographic profiles just as a defense mechanism. Otherwise, you'd be destroyed. And the fact is that, the people did the most harm, most damage, and the least amount of respect for what I was trying to do, which was create a production company for the distribution of thoughts and ideas outside of the mainstream. And they were all young white people. And there's a bunch of 6 guys, white guys, all white guys, came in young. And they came in and said, "Could we use your bathroom?" And I was like, "No, we've really had a lot of crime and problems and stuff like that. So I just don't have enough people to be able to allow people to do stuff like that." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." So they walk to the back and they go use the bathroom anyway. And one of them, in full view, not in the actual bathroom with a closed door or anything like that, but in the room where the bathroom was contained, starts taking off all their clothes. And at the time, there was a woman, I would say, just guessing, 60 years old, right in front of where he's doing this, who's going through a bin of magazines and stuff like that. And then I see that he's taking off his clothes, and I bust them and chase them out of there. There's 5 or 6 of them. And it's just the level of disrespect and, self-imposing nature. And then they blame you for, somehow, still here. Damn. Self-imposing nature of what they're doing and everything like that is just so overwhelming. And they'll blame you for the problems that they create. It's part of, that defense mechanism. I say, "How dare you be upset about me taking all my clothes off in front of some 60-year-old lady?" And something else, man. It chased him out of there. Fortunately, it was able to act crazy enough to keep them from attacking me. And I don't know, man. It's just I just don't get where people are coming from. Anyway, so subdivide, people into such small partitions within the main bilateral divide and conquer mechanism of left versus right. Now it's left, alt left versus traditional left versus, urban East Coast intellectuals left versus, I don't know, it's just so beyond what anybody could possibly ever overcome to create any sort of meaningful leadership and consolidation of effort in order to be able to overthrow the shackles of our oppressors. And it works great. And it's working like a charm. And nobody even suspects anything is wrong. Anyway, number 2, so that's why I'm not partisan. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to fight your fights for you, because your fights it's just a waste of time. It's not getting anybody anywhere. It's just treading water. So the lists might not seem like they have, it might not seem like they're real. It might seem kind of made up, flighty examples of a wide array of different stream of consciousness types of excuses to have an ability to be able to complain about everything under the sun, that type of thing. But no, I would never do anything like that. How dare you, accuse me of such infidelity to a higher level of artistic and intellectual integrity? Who the hell are you? How'd you get here in my bedroom? Which is because I fall asleep all the time in here doesn't mean it's my bedroom, number one. Number two, I don't know how you got in. You weren't invited. Number three, I don't know what number three is. If you expect me to know what number three is, then you're way off base. You've thrown way too much confidence and projected too much into my feeble abilities to be able to come up with a randomly exercised improvisational number three and reasons behind it. But these lists are created by a team of ball sniffers and catatonic former insurance salesmen who gather with me out in front of the tiny replica of the Statue of Liberty in Las Vegas and come up with these lists while taking copious doses of adrenaline and adrenochrome mixed with sniffing those old mimeograph photocopies that they used to do tests with back in grade school. And before we go into it, I have a sponsor for this particular episode. It's so exciting to be able to have from the people who brought you Casey and the Sunshine Band. It's Casey and the Orange Sunshine Band. Orange Sunshine, one of the favorite all-time brands of blotter acid. Mission Impossible, from the producers of Mission Impossible. Movie about really extreme sales. Commission Impossible. The Twink Panther, from the producers of blah, blah, blah. You can figure out all that for yourself. As I scroll through the list of options I've got for fake commercials, perhaps you can see why the fake commercials segment of Top 10 Worst Lists, your finest in Top 10 Worst Lists all throughout the internet, has been singled out for so many accolades. Walt Disney used to do movies with Nazi Party members. Back in the 50s, the Nazi Party members who were imported by our government as part of Operation Paperclipping, giving high-level managerial and executive jobs in a bunch of scientific institutes and such. Head of NASA department was, of course, Werner von Braun, and others, collaborators of his, became the subject of a trio of Walt Disney movies where he actually collaborated with a Nazi or two. Werner von Braun is featured prominently, and it was, I think the three was Men in Space, Men on Mars, or something like that. They were, but talk about accolades. One of them, the first one, Men in Space, I think it was called, was actually nominated for a Academy Award. So hey, real Nazis nominated for Academy Awards, and they tell me that the United States wasn't converted into a crypto-fascist state after the election of the head of the military to become the head of the civilian government. I believe it. Scratch and sniff condoms? No, maybe. Something? Did anybody? Uh, Bloodbath and Beyond, a new gun store with all kinds of pastel colored guns and stuff, earth tones. All right, enough's enough. Let's get on with the damn list. What was it called again? 9 times out of 10. Top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music. Just replace music. I mean, what's just ban music. And, you know, one of the things that really is curious about music is that, and it really identifies how much more important the social engineering part of what they're doing within music is than the music itself. Now, look, the most important thing in music is shifting units. You know, let's be honest. The Grammy Award, it's shaped like a record player for a reason. It's shaped like a record player, so they couldn't give a rat's ass about the musical integrity or creative impulse that's infused into the music or any type of things like that. They care about sales. And they show you by having the most quote-unquote prestigious award in that entire industry as being in the shape of a record player means that all they care about is the records that are being sold. They don't care. It's not the shape of a note. It's not the shape of a guitar or of a throat. The throat awards would be fun. It's in the shape of a record player. That means all they care about is records. Okay, and but one of the things that's really astounding is that back in the day, and again, I apologize for talking about the day so much, but I am from the day, and I come from that, and I think that's a big part of what's created so many antipathies within my worldview, because I carry with me so many of the experiences from the day that enable me to be able to see the degradation of the humanistic elements within the panoply of human experiences. And, and it's not like it's like replacing or growing or showing any signs of improvement or leading to anybody having a better life or anything like that. Everybody's like so incredibly hateful and spiteful and intolerant of others that it can only be seen as a degradation overall in terms of the life experience and the quality of life that people are living through. And what's the point? If we're not improving those types of things, what's the point of going forward? Just sort of, let's all just stop doing everything and wait for death. I think that's really probably what's the point of aspiring towards anything or becoming such a tool of the aristocracy when nothing's getting better, nothing's improving, everything's getting worse, and then bringing in AI robots to take all our freaking jobs and then wipe out humanity. And what do you think they're going to do when the AI takes over? They're going to give us 8 billion different universal basic income checks every month? Really? To sit around and do nothing? I think not. I think there's going to be like a COVID thing that they're going to, like a rarefied COVID thing that just release and turn everything into open air gas chambers and wipe out the human race. And they'll put the billionaires in bunkers and they'll create some farms out in Antarctica or some shiznaz like that for, people to the need for organ harvesting and for sex games and Hunger Games and all kinds of different things. Keeping the gene pool, give it a little fresh up, a little blowout here and there every so often. Make sure the flipper babies don't get too intense. And that's it. So a couple million human beings in some farms scattered throughout the world. Everybody else gets exterminated. But what part of what I think has happened to the music industry that really gives us a strong clue, because these guys are all about the money. They're all about the money. They're all about the record labels. They, again, the third time, their biggest award is a record player, right? And yet, in order to be able to make all music mechanical, to make it all computer generated, to take everything of the expressiveness out of music completely, to bleach it from all of recorded music, and in order to be able to turn it into nothing but a bunch of rich people, children of rich people, jailbait, idiots, sellouts, talentless nobodies, computer programmers, and all those types of things that they replaced music with. For today's modern day, whatever you want to call it, music. It shows in the fact that they can't have like a live album anymore, because it's like these people don't play music. So what's the point of getting a live album? What's the point of having a live album? Somebody who's all about just kind of lip syncing their way through a song and putting on a fashion show. It's like some third-rate Las Vegas, showroom bull ink, a plastic, repetitive, replaceable cookie cutter bull dink that they put on in a Vegas show. It's like a reject of a third-rate Vegas show. That's what music industry is now, and almost without exception. But what is astonishing is that they would give up the bucks of the live album segment of the industry in order to be able to convert music into this mechanical, computerized nightmare. Because like every band, everyone had a live album, and sometimes they had two. Rolling Stones probably had 3 or 4, Love You Live, Get Your Yayas Out, Got Live If You Wanted, or whatever that early one was. I don't know, Still Life, I think, was one of them. That's when bands would play music, and the music in the live shows is sometimes a little bit different, a little bit more sprightly, vivacious, insouciant. But the fact is that none of these people had anything to do with anything once the conversion was made. Live albums just went away. And it's a segment of, the Rolling Stones do, 40 albums or whatever the hell they've done. If they did 4, maybe 5 live albums or something like that, that's a tenth of what they did. A tenth of what they did, they've now thrown away. And they're not the only band that had, at least, I don't even know a band that didn't have a live album back in the heyday and stuff like that. It was just a way to cash in. It was a second greatest hits album. And people would do it. I mean, it was just like, everybody had one. And so they thought that it was, and that's a lot of money that they gave up. A whole huge segment of sales, maybe a tenth of all album sales in total were live albums. And now it's 0. To do that, to give up that much of the business, they really must have had something. There must have been some other big payoff, and I'm telling you that the payoff wasn't over sales. Like, think about it. We project that it's just some sort of, autonomous industry that's organically going from phase to phase, based on some sort of whatever metric that they're using. I think it's, the best that you could think of, if you don't think that it's controlled like I do, and really a front for a third-party outsourced propaganda ministry, that that they're saving money on the production end by getting rid of the artists or mechanizing it, but they're losing 10% right off the top of gross sales because they can't do live albums anymore. Nobody can, because it's all just a copy of the lip syncing stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Excuse me, and I just don't know where the payoff is for what they're trying to do. By not they got rid of all the A&R departments, so they're not doing any research and development. What industry is thriving? What thriving industry is doing anything without a research and development department? That's what AR departments were for music. artists and repertoire departments, and they don't have them at all anymore. They got rid of all of them. You know, it was Bruce Springsteen is a perfect example of this. You know, that pathetic sort of song. Bruce Springsteen, got beer on the Texans. You know him. You all know him. So he does his first album. It's pretty kind of cool, actually. It's, you know, combination of Van Morrison and Bob Dylan, I guess. Stealing from both of those guys. And the second one is same type of thing. You know, sort of a combination of Bob Dylan meets Van Morrison. And, but they were both flops in terms of, like, sales. And so here is a guy who's already had 2 flops and at a crossroads. And the record company, and this is again during the era of A&R, they're like, okay, well, you know, we're going to give you a third album. But this third album is going to be the make or break. But so that you could do, you know, try to maybe meet the potential that we all saw in you when we signed you originally, we're going to increase your budget so that you can do things a little bit bigger and have, you know, make sure that you get, you know, put your best foot forward. And they did, and it, you know, paid off. It's Born to Run. And Born to Run was the game changer for him. But they actually were patient with him, and they developed him, they held his hand, and they provided, you know, A&R departments to help market the band and to help get the tours together, tour support, all the things that they needed in order to be able to go from an album that was a total dud to an album that made him a superstar. And the same thing happened with the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead out of the box was not, you know, their album sales sucked. But they stuck with them, and all of a sudden, after a couple of 2-3 years or whatever it took, they turned it into the biggest touring act of all time. You know, and it's nothing like that anymore. There's nothing like that at all. And they find somebody who fits the suit. It's like the goddamn freaking episode of the Brady Bunch, where they have the guy who's the guy that they had the suit, the guy with the star and the thing, and the Greg Brady, Jack Sparrow, no, Jack Be Nimble, no. Hang on a second. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this to you. I hate to do this to you. I know that you think that some of the parts of the marks of integrity. Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was an episode of the Brady Bunch where they it's like modern day music, where they go out and they find anybody who fits into these various different marketing bullet points that they want to have in order to be able to put an artist out there. It doesn't matter if they do music, if they don't do music, if they are clever, or if they're musical in nature, if they have any various different talents, it absolutely doesn't matter. What matters is that they fit the suit, which was what the concept was of the whole Brady Bunch episode of the Johnny Bravo, because Greg Brady fit into this elaborate, gorgeous suit that they built for this Johnny Bravo character that they had to cut loose for whatever reason. And he goes out and he does these recordings where they're all manipulated and everything like that, and he has the radio appearances where they're all manipulated and everything. And so he's just like, Greg Brady, this is Greg Brady, some milquetoast suburbanite nobody, is like, no way, man, I'm not selling out. Greg Brady had more integrity than anybody in the modern day music business has at all. And you're like looking at this thing going like, wow, this is visionary, because this is exactly what the entire industry is now. Somebody fits the suit, you know, they'll get, Nicki Minaj on Pink Friday 2 has 42 different producers listed in the production credits. 42! And this is not uncommon. There's a Justin Bieber album, I think, that's got, 30 plus or something like that. It's like, this is how they make music now. They get a bunch of people who are really good at computer programming and stuff like that, who will infuse a bunch of product placement into a bunch of indoctrination devices into the music itself, and they work really good at that, and they're given portions of and or songs within a music project that will be released under the name of whoever it is that they got to fit the suit. And then they'll put it out there, and it's just a big pile of disposable garbage that has more to do with social engineering and fashion shows than it does with musical integrity, or self-expression. And that's the way the music business is now. So why have a guitar solo in the middle of it when you could have all various different types of productive things in there, which will provide a lot more of a harmonious fit within the degraded nature of the modern day music biz, as it were. You're in the biz. And that's what our list is. Top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music. Number 10. The sound of someone slurping the last remaining drips at the bottom of a milkshake cup on an infinite loop with a non-biodegradable plastic straw. Non-biodegradable plastic straw! We're talking serious hate crime here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alert. Hate crime alert. Whoop, 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 whoop. God damn it. Instead of a guitar solo, you go like, song of the thing what I'm doing now. Oh yeah, Versace on the floor. Yeah, take it away, Steve. For about 8 bars, 16 bars in some cases if he's a really good slurper. A lot of mouth control. A lot of lung capacity. Number 9. The screams of dozens of blind orphans stuck in a school bus as it slowly sinks down into the deep end of an Olympic-sized diving pool. Yes! Now we're talking. This is what music really is all about, man. Have you heard the new tune, man, by Lizzo, where she puts a sound of a bunch of drowning orphans in the middle of it? It's fan-freaking-tastic, man. I can't stop listening to it. I keep hearing it in my head over and over again. Why do I have to live? Why do I have to live? Yes, now we're getting somewhere. Number 8 of the top 10 worst things that we can replace, that they should replace guitar solos in music with, is short yelps and screams of politicians with a car battery jolting their nuts. There we go. Now we're starting to get juicy with it. Throw some stank on it. Just be like, what's the I'm gonna ride, free bird, yeah. Stop it. I can hear it now. Number 7. The top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music, now that the music isn't really music. Sounds of your grandma telling you how much she thinks you suck. Like, she's gonna be like, I can hear this now. I can hear something like, it's just a spring queen for the May queen. Do 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 do. Boo do do boo do do. Chata choo chaka chaka blind ting ba doo ding dong dong ding doo ding. You suck. You're so stupid and dumb. Why don't you go to tell somebody who cares? Why don't you go down to the store, buy me a pack of smokes? Well, you're so worthless and, utterly without any laudable qualities whatsoever. I've got to get something wouldn't that be a perfect, instead of a guitar solo, like instead of Page's great guitar solo there in Stairway to Heaven, it's just kind of like bust into like, You're such a dummy. I can't believe that you come from my loins, of my loins of my loins. Number 6 of the top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music. Ice cream truck jingles. I don't know, or different keys, whatever. Actually, that could be kind of fun. That could have some interesting musical qualities to it. Pain is the cleanser, right? Oh my God. And they have this, fits right into the aesthetic, the modern day aesthetic. Oh my God. Have you heard how that fits that new having ice cream jingle, good humor truck jingle inside the middle of, and what song would it even be? God damn. God. There isn't any modern day rock and roll to be found, anybody. It's, they turned it into like rock music being nothing but like sort of nostalgia. Rock and roller coaster. At Disney, that's what did it. Once Disney got a hold of rock and roll, it was definitely, they're going to suck all the life out of it. Turn it into a bunch of worthless garbage. White trash, suburbanites, Hannah Montana, Lizzie Borden, McGuire, whatever. Jonas Brothers. Oh, I screwed up my patois. My facial accoutrement. Oh, look how bad it is. Oh, my God, how you doing? I need to get my face makeup today. Top 10 worst things can replace guitar solos in movies. Number 5, a table read for an episode of Fuller House. Fuller House. Do you not... Am I looking at this wrong? Am I seeing all these horrible things that our society is embodied and represents? And just like looking at it and going like, how did we get so lost? How did we become so worthless and trashy? And how did my makeup get all screwed? Oh, I was trying to do the puke thing. That's how. Like that. I did it poorly. And it screwed up my mustache and soul patch compliment. But, I mean, think about it. Fuller House, why would anybody want something like that? How can anybody think that it's enjoyable, worth spending time on, engaging with? The freaking Learning Channel is a conglomeration of shows that teach you how to be dumb. It's like the perfect 1984 doublethink type of thing. Work is freedom. Freedom is peace. Peace is war, or whatever the hell those were. That I can't think of right now. But it's like the same type of thing that is. Number 4 of top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos with music. Greta Thunberg, and I don't know how her last name is. I didn't watch TV. I just read. Greta Thunberg complaining about stuff. I could just picture that right now. Like, Prince's famous guitar solo that he like, was it the Rock Hall of Fame? Or the George Harrison tribute on While My Guitar Gently Weeps that everybody's like all wet at the tip about. And Prince just starts, like, here I am, I'm Prince is only doing a solo. It's a really long solo. And it's okay for, like, mid-range type of guitar solos, like guys who do, like, who can rip off a guitar solo, whip out, excuse me while I whip this out. type of guitar solo guy, but he's not like uh doing like a real like genuine face melter guitar solo that you get out of like people like a John McLaughlin or an Al Di Meola or Stevie Vai or a lot of guys that I don't know who they are. But I know they're out there. It's a decent enough guitar solo though. But picture it, that same setup where they're doing Gently Weeps. And instead of Prince coming out, Greta Thunberg walks out and starts complaining about stuff. And how much better it would be for all of us and more entertaining. Because you'd have like, well, my guitar, gently weeps. Well, you can't have all the global warming things are going on and making the bad things for the world. And the Jews are bad. You gotta start killing lots of Jews. And the global warming, maybe we could start having like a better world if we got rid of the global warmings. The global warming. Global warming. Global warming. What are you, crazy? We're at the global climate change. See, I can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it. It might not be so bad. Maybe I'm onto something here. Number 3 of the top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music: the sound of the Houston Astros stealing pitching signs. How is it those guys look? Again, this is another contextual thing about trying to examine society. And I'm not going to say that there's a lot that I that I find to be laudable from early 1900s and stuff. But when they wanted to crack down on cheating in baseball, they cracked the hell out of it. And the 1919 Black Sox scandal, they got 8 of those guys never got to play baseball again, never get to be Hall of Famers and anything like that, and it sucked for them, especially like Shoeless Joe Jackson and whatnot. But hey, they were cheating on games, they were throwing games, and getting paid for it, and so they weren't down for it, and but here goes like 100 years later, or whatever the hell, and the Houston Astros win a World Series by cheating, by stealing pitching signs from the other team. And I mean, I don't even know that there was like a significant slap on the wrist for any of that. I know that they didn't lose their championship, which if you're using the 1919 Kennesaw Mountain Daredevils or Ozark Mountain Daredevils or whatever the name of the commissioner was, like they got this hard ass former Supreme Court justice or something, Kennesaw Mountain Landis or Martin, John Landis, somebody, and he's a puckered up sociopath, one of these types that's intolerant. Nobody's getting over Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Maybe I'm gonna screw you up, make you like it, and ask for more, beg for more. You can be begging for more from Kennesaw Mountain Landis when I get done with you. And you would have whipped out. That would have made a great TV series, by the way. Kennesaw Mountain Landis, and he just keeps whipping out hardcore justice on people. Hardcore justice, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. There you go. Wish you never crossed paths with me. I'm Kennesaw Mountain Landis. On the Houston, if you would have applied that to the Houston Astros would have been, done as a franchise. The Houston Astros are over. Not only do you have to forfeit your victory for that World Series, but you also have to cease being a franchise. You lose your whole freaking franchise. As far as I'm concerned, that's a franchise extinction level event. That's the that's the meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs. What Houston Astros? Sorry, I'm trying. Kennesaw Mountain. Yeah, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. What? That's the guy. That's a nice little trivia thing I pulled out of my ass. Even I'm excited and enthused about it. And I hate everything. Like the guy in the Life cereal commercials. Number 2 of the top 10 worst things that can replace guitar solos in music. The sounds of a third trimester fetus squirming in utero as it tries to avoid the business end of a wire hanger. Oh, damn. I've done it. Now I've finally done it. I've got myself excommunicated. There's no way that I get away with saying something like that without somebody coming around and making me pay for it. But to be honest with you, those of you out there are fully, completely infuriated by my wanton disregard for, sort of like the petite sort of niceties of societal norms. My life is pure suffering, and I wouldn't trade it for. I wouldn't, wish the things that I see that I have to look at on a daily basis, or feel. I would put that on my worst enemy. No, thank you. I don't want to be responsible for that much horrificness. And number 1, finally, the number 1 to the top 10 worst things can replace guitar solos in music. Commercials. God damn it. Frickin' cheap as. Woo. So, look, commercials already in there. Already in music. This is nothing that anybody who's listening to country music knows that they're name checking at least 2 or 3 products in the during the first verse, right? I got in my Chevy and drank me some boozies and caught him some floozies and got some bud. And he went to the club and I ate some Ritz crackers and it's already there. Music is got more surreptitious product placement than football games do. And their lower third cryons. What the hell? I don't expect you to be picking up any of this stuff. I'm just pontificating because I need to get a lot. I've got a huge chip on my shoulder, and this is the only way I could possibly come close to purging the toxins from my system. I'm having to live through all of this and look at it and go like, what a delicious, tasty morsel the human race has become to the demonic overlords of our world, running our culture and our society. They must be looking at us going like, slurp, slurp, slurp. Let's have a fear ceremony. Well, that's all the time that we got for this. That's all the list that we've got, actually, for the time that it could go on. I could go on for hours and hours with this meaningless drivel. Oh, but I've got something before I go. I've got parting gifts for you in terms of, disclaimers. Number 1, everything I've said here is opinions and none of my own. They're bestowed. These are, just sort of channeling through me. I have nothing to do with it. Nothing. I didn't invent any of the stuff that I've talked about. It's just stuff that's out there. Friggin' every 9 minutes there's this sexual molestation that happens in this country. It's the reality of what we're living through. Just because I happen to see it, I take the time to try to catalog it and use it towards building blocks to help us recover from all the many illnesses that have been foisted upon us by our demented and pathetic overseers. And I try to use some sort of humor and satire, whatever, but it's all out of love. It's all out of love for the human race and the gifts that we've been giving in this world that we're squandering away as we spiral into the depths, the murky depths, where we cavort with the Lady of the Lake, looking for a swift ride on the mighty Excalibur. You know this to be true. Goddamn freaking jerk-offs. Anyway, you've been really inspired. It's been an inspiring time for me to be here with you. And I would just ask that you, while you're busy, hanging out and doing all the things that you think are important in the world, that you just smash the freaking like button, okay? Smash it! It's been a real pleasure being here with you. I can't tell you